Hi, boys and girls. Since it's near Halloween and I'm in my mum's house, which is where a lot of things have happened, I thought that I would try and do a little spooky story thing. Some of you guys will have heard some of these stories before, and some of you who are new probably haven't, or just even older people who just couldn't be bothered looking at the other videos. My lipstick looks uneven. Oh well. And I have a little bat up here for anybody who gets annoyed by, what is the black thing on your eyebrow? It's a little bat. Okay? So, where to start? Right, since I was tiny, I've always seen things and I've heard things, and I had some really weird dreams, and I've got some notes down here to try and keep me right, because the human memory, you know what I mean, changes things, and I babble anyway. So since I was really small, there was like a lot of weird things happened. One of the things that happened to me when I was really small was that I had a dream when I was maybe I was in primary school, so I don't know, maybe about 8-ish, something like that. I had this dream. I was going to my uncle's house, which we always did at Halloween, and I was dressed up in the costume that had already been bought for me, and we drew up in front of the house, and I clambered over my gran to get out, and I hurt my gran's legs, like I always did. I always got a row for clambering over my gran to get out. And then it was kind of one of those proper autumn nights where everything just looks kind of watercoloured and orange, and I ran towards my uncle's gate, which was one of those ones that was the wooden ones on the spring latch. And I ran towards the gate, and as I ran towards the gate, this young guy, maybe about my age at the time, so about 8-ish, run round the corner, because my uncle lived on the last house on the street where there was a big hedge. I keep putting my hand over here, you can't fucking see that. So there was a big hedge, and this young guy come running round, and I thought he was dressed up as a vampire. And as I got to the gate, he banged into the gate, and we both fell onto the path. And he landed on top of me. And when I looked at his face, it wasn't makeup. He was like really kind of an undead. And he says to me, "Beware or they will get you," or something along those lines. And that's when I woke up. So when I went to my uncle's at Halloween the next night, we got there. The whole place looked exactly as it did in my dream. I waited until my gran got out the car and then got out, and then I ran to get into my uncle's gate. And just as I got into my uncle's gate, a young boy ran round the corner dressed up as a vampire, and he ran past the gate and gave me the most dirty look ever. And then when I was a little bit older, when we had moved to this street where my mum's house is, we used to live in another house in this street with my gran and granddad, and the people who used to live in this house were kind of like my second grandparents, and they weren't really related, they were family friends, but I spent a lot of time up here, and they had a garage, an old hut thing, sorry that's my phone, out the back, and I had this dream that the back gardens were on fire, that all the huts and all the garages and the grass and stuff was all on fire. And then the next day we had been away out, and when we drew round the corner to come back into our street in the car, there was fire engines everywhere, and it was late at night, and one of the huts in the back gardens was on fire. So that was kind of weird. Sorry, that's my tummy rumbling. Trying to think of all these different things, what order to put them in. when I used to live here, if you want to look at my other spooky videos and things like that, there used to be a lot of happenings and a lot of things attached to me in the other room where I did my my last outfit of the day. That used to be my bedroom. My mum doesn't really have problems now that I'm gone, but I've been told that a lot of things are attached to me, per se. Well, per se, to me personally, not just areas. But I saw a lot of things. I've seen shadow people. My daughter and my mum have both seen things walk down the hallway. I have been frightened out of my bed when my ex-fiance was here. My daughter's dad and my ex-fiance, because we were still friends at the time, well, we still are friends, were both sleeping in my bedroom and I was sleeping in my mum's room. And they told me that they had seen like a guy in a black hoodie shake his head at them. I'm sorry, my tummy is going to continually rumble. There's been friends that have seen it. When I went over to live at Julie's house, different people had seen it put its head round the side of windows or stand outside windows. People had seen it as they were coming in the door. It was never inside Julie's house though, but there was a lot, and I mean a lot of people seen it. And I used to have, and I still do have, a lot of night terrors, but when I lived here they were always around this being, and the night terrors I've had of things like where when I have a night terror, when I close my eyes, it's like right now, and if I close my eyes and open them, I'm in the night terror, but I'm completely unaware of the fact that I'm sleeping because everything is exactly the same until certain things happen, and then I usually can't speak or scream or shout out or anything, but I'll hopefully get onto that, how that changed later. But yeah, the night terrors always involved this shadow figure when I would be asleep. It would either be coming up the side of the bed, it would be looming over me, it would be knocking the blinds. I've had it sit on my chest. I've had them where I've been lying in bed and I've felt the cover come off me and this thing kind of coming, like if this was the bed and I'm up here, like this thing coming up like that and pulling the covers down. My mum had never seen this thing until like later on. I mean, this thing's been with me pretty much my entire life, and she had never experienced a night terror, but my mum woke up one night and described to me exactly the thing that I see, and that it had been at the side of her bed. My friend and I, Jen, did an EVP session once, and we couldn't get anything on the EVP other than it was just, you know, when you turn an old stereo on and it's just that white noise. There's only one part of this entire thing where even the white noise drops out, so it's going and there's nothing else on there. But yeah, I've had night terrors a lot. And then when my cousin moved in here, he used to live with us before I had my daughter and just after I had my daughter. Ice cream van. I was lying in my bed. My bed was against that wall, where I think when I did a room tour, one of my big units where all my books sat, so it was in like the corner where most of this activity would usually happen. I was lying in my bed, and as I said before, I can't scream or anything. It usually comes out as so I was doing that in my sleep, and I felt this thing sitting on my chest, and when I woke up I felt quite violated. I didn't dream that anything had happened or like there had been any sexualness in the dream, but when I woke up I felt kind of, yeah. It's hard to explain. But how I woke up was that my cousin had come running from the other end of the house with a broken pool cue that was taped together and ran into my room with it like this because he thought there was somebody in the house attacking me. So my mum had to calm me down from the night terror and calm him down because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then when I moved from here, I moved to Julie's, and the night terrors continued, although the thing would usually be outside the wall where the bed would be against, the headboard would be against this wall, and it would be like right outside there where the window was. And one of them that I had was really creepy because it involved my daughter. Like I said, I close my eyes, I don't know I'm sleeping. My daughter was in the bed behind me. Oh, this is never going to stop growling. I'm sorry. But my daughter was in the bed behind me, and it wasn't unusual for her to climb up on my side and be like, oh, mummy, I can't sleep, or mummy, I need a cuddle, or something like that. But she had climbed up on the side of me, and as I turned around to look at her, she went like that, and all this black or dark, don't know, it was just dark goo started coming out of her mouth, and she was just smiling at me maniacally. So that was really fucking scary. My daughter had never had a problem going for a bath in Julie's, and then all of a sudden she was petrified of going in the bath, and she wouldn't let me like walk out the room at all. And then she was playing at the table one day, and Julie and I were on the L-shaped sofa, and the windows were across from us. And she Julie looked over at me as though to say, that thing is at the window, and I was like, yeah. And Erin was sitting at the table, and she kept doing this over at the window. And Julie goes, is it okay if I ask her? And I was like, okay. So she says, Erin, do you see anything? And she's like, no. And she had that look on her face, you know, like if you'd been bullied and your bully was standing behind you going, don't say a fucking word. That's what it was like, but she kept doing to where we knew it was. But then when we moved out of there, no, actually, it was before I had moved out. I had never had night terrors in anybody's house other than my mum's or wherever I was staying. So when I was over at Ali's house, I never had a night terror. When I stayed at Kitty's house, I never had a night terror. Just wherever I was staying, it never happened. And I went over to Mikey's house, and I'm not going to tell you too much personal stuff about like anything that Mikey's went through, but I was at Mikey's house, and we were having sex, and I looked over his shoulder, and noises, I looked over his shoulder, and at his bedroom door, where his chest of drawers were, there was this really tall, dark figure. It just looked like somebody had broken and was in a black hoodie and standing with his hands in his pockets, just kind of watching. He was watching us fucking. And I saw it, and I knew that it wasn't human. So you don't want to like tap your new boyfriend in the back and go, hey, could you get up off me, because there's a ghost watching us. You don't want to sound like a fucking weirdo. So we continued what we were doing because it was still just standing there, and I was like, hey, if this is what you're into, dude, you can. And I kinda lost enjoying myself because I was kind of watching it, and then he kind of got the vibe that there was something wrong, and he's like, what's up with you? And I was like, I didn't really feel well, can we just stop the now? I don't know, maybe I'm tired or something. And he's like, oh, okay. So later on I told him about what had happened and that I had seen it, and he had relayed some other personal experiences to me and kind of validated that this thing was there. And then the first night that I ever had a night terror in Mikey's house, he had black bed sheets and the black carpet and black curtains, but the room was white, but it was to the back of the street, so there was no street lights. So when the curtains were drawn and the blind was down, the whole thing was fucking black. You couldn't see anything, except for maybe a little bit of moonlight. So I'm sleeping, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, there's this big black cloud coming from the darkest area of the room over, and where the moonlight was coming through the window, it started to envelop the moonlight, and then coming towards my face, this figure came out of it, like it was doing that kind of thing. And I started doing the thing, and Mikey woke me up, and I sat bolt upright, and as I sat up, I could still see this black mist, and it was going backwards like this into the darkest bit of the room, and he turned up and he's looking at it like, what's wrong, you okay, you okay, and he's trying to calm me down, and he's still looking where I'm looking, but that was the first night terror that I had had that wasn't anywhere that I was living, and then right, I've done these ones, but yeah, that leads on to this one. When I moved into my new house, it felt really light and really nice, and like there was nothing there, and it was really safe, and I loved being there. I still love being there, but I don't like being on my own. And I was in bed and fell asleep. Mikey and I were cuddling, facing each other like this. I was slightly lower down, because that's how we go to sleep, is all entangled in each other. And I heard, like, you know the noise when your dog needs to go and get its claws cut and it walks on the carpet, you know, that kind of caught, scrapey noise. Excuse me. Well, I heard that, and I was really exhausted, and we'd been doing stuff all day, and I was just, you know, when you're just so tired that you're like, what was that? So I thought I had opened my eyes, because I was completely unaware of the fact that I was asleep. I opened my eyes, and I keep hearing this noise, and I'm thinking, Jack's got out his cage, because I put him in his cage, his crate thing at night time. I was like, Jack's got out his cage, oh, so that it'll be fine, he'll jump up in the bed in a minute. And then it multiplied, like there was lots of animals' claws being caught on the carpet. And then there was scurrying under the bed, like somebody had like let a lot of animals, like lots of hamsters and rabbits and little scurrying things out underneath my bed, which is impossible because my bed underneath is full of junk. Just stuff that doesn't have a home. It's all in boxes and things and shoved under there. So nothing can get under the bed unless a spider. Let's not think about that. But anyway, there was like lots and lots of scurrying coming from under the bed, and then these catching claw noises all around the bed. And I went to move and I couldn't. And that's when I knew I was dreaming. And you know when, if somebody was standing here, you kind of know that they're there. And sometimes you can say, oh, they've got brown hair or something, without looking at them. I knew that there was two little girls standing at the bottom of the bed, like in this kind of vision of mine. They were standing at the bottom of the bed. I still can't move. I'm cuddled into Mikey. There's a scurrying and the claws, and two little girls standing at the bottom of my bed, maybe about 6 or 7 years old, and they're in white nighties, and they start giggling. And then there is a woman standing right there behind me, and I could see her, but I couldn't see her. It's kind of weird to describe. And she was wearing a long white nightgown, and she had long black straggly hair, and she started to do this over me. So as she does this, I'm going for to try and get Mikey, and in the dream Mikey's wide awake and he's still holding on to me, and he looks at me and he just goes, "Deal with it yourself." To which I woke up screaming. That was unpleasant. But I have since learned about said lady behind me. This is apparently Eva. And I've had another couple of dreams, including Eva. Fuck, we're at 20 minutes already. So yeah, up to present date, I'm skipping a lot of things, but up to present date, about a month ago, my friend Squeak was lying on the sofa with me, and I had fallen asleep on the sofa with him. We were watching movies and stuff. I have an L-shaped sofa, so my head was here at the corner bit where I usually lie, and he was behind me. And all the lights were off, and Erin was in her bedroom because she had been put to bed before we were watching like grown-up movies, not like adult movies, but stuff that the 6-year-old doesn't need to see. So again, I'm unaware of the fact that I'm sleeping, and I hear this noise. And the weird thing is, I never move when I'm having a night terror until recently. I roll over on the couch and I see my daughter at one of my shelving units, and it didn't click with me that it was the wrong shelving unit. It was the filled in one that Mikey has all these stuff on, not one of my open plan ones, but it was in the same place. I roll over and my daughter's there in a nightie. My daughter doesn't wear nighties. She goes to sleep in pants and a vest because she overheats. So I roll over and she's there in a nightie. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm looking for a DVD, Mummy," which isn't unusual because my daughter likes to watch DVDs until she falls asleep. So I was like, "Oh, come on, Erin, it's the middle of the night." And I get up off the couch and I go over and I lift all of these DVDs that she's like pulled out of her little case thing. I never leave them in the actual boxes because she had a habit of using them to make roads with and standing on them and breaking the DVDs. So they're in these little folder things. And they were all over the floor. So I'm picking them all up and I'm putting them in the folder. And I'm like, "Erin, you really need to look after your DVDs or I'm not buying any more. You're scratching them all and stuff. Come on, what are you looking for?" And she's like, "Oh, it's okay, I've got it." So I kind of usher her back through to her room. And as I usher her back through to the room, I noticed that my main door is open. And I'm like, "Right, go through to your bed. I need to go fix the door." And as I go down to the door, my really thin hallway, I will do a house tour when my house is clean. My really thin hallway is filled with toys. There's toys everywhere. Like Erin's emptied a toy box and just ditched them everywhere. And she knows not to bloody well do that. So I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, and Erin's been up and I'm tired in the middle of the night. Why is the fucking door open?" So the door is slightly, it's not open, it's like ajar, but more ajar, it's like half open. And our doll's pram is sitting outside, but there's lots of little toys like at the back of the door and stuff. And I start to hear somebody coming up the stairwell, and I'm like, shit. And I get this feeling like I need to get the door closed. I have to get the door closed. What the fuck is this? I need to get the door closed. And I'm like, fuck it. I'll leave what's outside. It's fine because we live in it's like an apartment block thing. So it's a communal stairwell, and there's only me and my neighbour across the way that are up the very top. And I'm like, right, fuck it, it doesn't matter. We'll just leave them there. And I'm trying to close the door, but there's more and more toys and little things getting caught under the door. And I'm shouting on Squeak. I'm like, Squeak, come and help me. I can't get the door shut. And I can't get him awake. And the baron's coming through at the back of me saying, Mummy, what's wrong? And I'm like, go through your room. And I'm trying to get this door shut and panicking as this noise is getting closer and closer and closer up my stairs. And I finally just move over, put my hands in the front of the door and just do that and just slam it shut. And that's when I wake up. So that was the first one when I was able to move. and I was speaking. And then I had another one when, again, I had fallen asleep on the couch with a squeak, and I had woke up and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to get the list sorted, and I always have lists for everything because my memory is shit. So I had got up and walked round the back of the couch to my work area, and I'd lifted up this envelope, and I started trying to read something off this envelope, and I couldn't get it out. I was like, when I was trying to speak. Everything that I was trying to say came out as gobbledygook, and I just couldn't get it out. I was just all the time, and I started freaking out. And then I realised that I was dreaming, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing it. And it was really weird because it was like I took control inside the dream, and I was like, no, we're not doing it. And I lifted this piece of paper, envelope, right up in front of me, and I read from it. And then I looked down at Squeak and I went, it's not getting the better of me. And I woke up. And that's the first 2 times that those things have happened. Prior to the 2 that I have just explained, Mikey and I had broke up again briefly for a month. We seem to always fall out for a month at the same time every year. And he had moved out the house. He's still moved out my house. He's living, with friends in a different town. But we're back together, and he comes back and forth the house quite a lot. So I was in the house on my own, first time in a long, long time. Because my friends all make sure that I'm okay. But there's this thing that has been seen around my house. My friend Nikki has seen it. I've seen it. Mikey's seen it. Lorna's seen it. My mum's seen it the other day there. I don't know if I should just finish this little story and then continue on to another video, because this is almost 30 minutes long already. Or we'll just keep going. If you don't want to fucking watch it, you know where the button is. So yeah, there's this entity in my house, and it's a gentleman who frequents my hallway and my bedroom, and people have seen him in the window, standing in the window, walking up and down the hallway. Nikki was in the house one day when Mikey and Xander were in the living room with Erin, and she'd fallen asleep on the couch, and I was just trying to clear away clean laundry and then pick her up from the couch to put her to bed. And I'm in the parents' room, and Nikki's standing in my doorway. The way my house is laid out is there's my front door. You come in my front door and it's a big long hallway. Well, it's not really long, but it's very narrow, long hallway. And on this side there is a big double walk-in cupboard. And where the cupboard is, then the hall goes like this. So it's like, that's the door. And then you come up the hallway, and then this way is another little bit of hallway, and the bathroom is here, and Erin's room, like the bathroom door faces down this hallway, and Erin's room door faces here, into the hallway, and like right across from the bathroom is my bedroom door, and then the living room door looks right down the hallway, and I have an open plan kitchen living room. So Nikki's standing at Erin's bedroom door, and she had fags in her hand. She was like, we're going to go have a smoke. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it just when I get this put away, and I'll go get the bairn to bed first. She's like, okay. So she's standing, playing about with fags in her hand, and I'm putting things in the bairn's cupboard, and she just goes, who's all in the house? And I'm like, you, me, Mikey, Xander, Erin. She was like, who else came in? And I was like, nobody, because my house is like Grand Central Station and people just arrive all the fucking time. And she was like, who else came in? And I was like, nobody. And she's like, get Mikey now. And sheer panic in her face. And Mikey, I'm shouting, Mikey! And he comes running through and he brings the underwear and he's like, what's wrong? And Nikki went, I just saw somebody walk into your bedroom. So she's like looking into Erin's bedroom, where she was standing, and over here is my bedroom door. And Mikey runs through the bedroom and he's checking the whole bedroom. He's under the bed. Nothing can get under there, but he's checking under the bed and he's all around the bedroom. He's like, no, there's nothing there. And then he comes round the house and checking everything. There's nobody there. And Nikki was like, I need to get out, I need to get out. So I just drop everything I'm doing and I walk out into the communal hallway with her, and we're both standing smoking, and I'm like, tell me what you saw, Nikki. And she was like, no. And she started crying because she was so fucking upset. Nikki's proper Catholic, she doesn't believe in any of this pish. She's just like, no, I'm not hearing it. And I eventually get her to calm down, and she told me what she saw. And it's the same thing that I've seen, that Mikey's seen, that Lorna's seen, that loads of other people have seen. She actually thought that it was Squeak, because Squeak's quite a tall guy. And he's, 6'2", 6'3" or something. And he has quite broad shoulders. And she thought that it was him in his black hoodie that had just walked in the house and went into my bedroom. And it totally freaked her out. But this guy, I had a night terror about this guy. I was in the house, like I said, by myself, and I'm lying on my L-shaped sofa. So I lie, my living room door's here, and my L-shaped sofa starts there, along, and then goes this way. So I have my head in the L bit, in the wee corner. And I was knackered. I always end up really exhausted quite a lot because I'm always busy, I'm always doing things, and I get ill quite a lot, so I'm continuously fucking shattered. So I'm lying there like this, with my head in one of the big pillows, and I hear the door go, and I thought that it was Mikey. This was, I think, just before Mikey had left, maybe. Or maybe it was after he left and it just didn't click for me that he wasn't there. Because I'm used to Mikey coming in at different times or in really early in the morning from work. I think it was just before he had left, I think. But anyway, I heard the door go. Somebody coming in, I heard the keys move. Because when I'm in on my own, I put my keys in the back of the door. I heard the keys, I heard the door. My dog usually barks the minute anybody comes to the door. The dog didn't bark. Then I'm exhausted and I'm still lying like this, and I just think, oh, it's Mikey. And I went, hey hon, I'm shattered. And tell me again. And I didn't hear anything. And then the living room door opened, and I have a glass living room door, so when it opens, the light reflects and changes as the door opens. So I can see, like, out my peripheral vision that the light's changing in that, and I could hear the draft excluder on the door kind of swoosh across the laminate flooring, and then the door gets pushed back over. And I'm like, how was work, honey? Still don't hear anything. Next thing I know, there is a big guy. I'm not talking, like, Mikey's 5'8", and we're the same waist size. We're like a 27, 26 inch waist, right? He's not a big man. But this was like a big man. I felt him mount the middle of my back, and I could feel his knees at the side of me, and he grabbed the back of my head and kept pushing it like that into the cushion, and then lifted my head and was doing this. Wait a minute, I have alarms for everything. I was doing this, like, over the L-shaped bit, like, so that my head was doing that towards the ground, like he was threatening to push my head into the ground. And he kept doing this, and I'm trying to scream and trying to scream. And this was before I had the night terrors where I actually took charge of them. And I'm like, and I eventually wake myself up by going, and I'm in the house by myself. So that was rather unpleasant. I had told friends about these and stuff, and one of my friends, the first thing that he said to me about when I had said I've been held down and I felt like I had been violated, and I've had things mount me or push me down or hold me or grab the back of my head or paralysed in dreams and stuff. And he said to me, have you ever been raped? And I was like, no, I've never been raped, thankfully. One of the lucky ones, and I hope I never am. I've had a few incidents where people have said to me, oh, that could be construed as rape, or a few kind of dodgy things that have almost nearly happened, but I've never been raped, I've never been abused, I've never been molested, never been anything like that. But his instant thought was of the being held down or feeling violated or not having any control at all. He instantly thought that it was maybe a reoccurring thing that hadn't been dealt with, because he knows a lot of women. He even said to me, he says, you're lucky because 9 out of 10 women I know have been raped. And he said that that's what he thought that it had maybe come from. And I was like, I've never had anything like that. And it's not that I'm repressing anything either, I just haven't. But it could be something to do with the lack of control or something, but then why is it always linked with these entities? Even the other day there, I think it was 2-3 nights ago, I went downstairs to take my daughter down to my mum in the car, because she was home for a day or so, and then she was coming back up to my mum's because it's holiday time. And I went down the stairs to the car park out front of my house, and I got my daughter into the car, and I looked up at my house and I went, Mum, get out of the car, I need to speak to you for a minute, because I didn't want to freak my child out. And Mum was like, what is it? I was like, I need to speak to you for a minute, can you get out of the car please? So I went round to the driver's side, and she gets out the car, and I was like, Mum, go and look up at my bedroom window and tell me what you see. And my mum went, there's a man standing in behind your blind. And I went, yes. And she went, who's in the house? And I went, nobody. She was like, who's coming over? And I went, Titch is coming over to watch horror movies. He's on his way. She was like, how long will he be? I was like, not long. She was like, are you sure? I was like, I promise you he's on his way. And she went, do you want me to stay? I was like, no, it's fine. I says, it's always there. And I was like, but thank you, I says, because it's good to know that you see it as well, because my mum doesn't see things very often. And she went, no, she says, there's a man standing behind your blind, because I had the blind drawn, but I had the light in, so if somebody was standing there, you could see. And he was just standing there, it's just like the head, the shoulders, and like down to maybe waist level, was a man standing, looking out my window. And she was like, you gonna be okay? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I says, Titch will be over soon, and Mikey's coming over after his work in the morning. She was like, okay, I'll watch you go up the stairs. And I was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. So I went back up, and I felt really uneasy about that. I did grab part of a broken curtain rail that I had outside my door that needs to go to the bin lockup when I was going in, just to double check around the house to make sure there wasn't somebody who just snuck in behind me. But there was nobody there, nothing there. One of the other recent dreams I had involved Eva and the hallway and the front door again. I came out of the living room door, which faces down the hallway, to my front door. My front door burst open, and Eva, in her white nightie and her long black hair that does this, was floating about a foot from the ground, like this. Looked like something out of a horror movie, like this, in her white nightie, with this like wind coming from behind her, so her hair was all out and her head was down like that, and she was just like and all dark, fucking looking creepy. And that was one of my other night terrors. And as of recently, like the last few months, everywhere I go in my house, the dying parts of summer, wasps. Now, I've been in that house for over 2 years now, and I'm used to, like, when the moths come in and, you know, when the spiders come in and stuff like that. But wasps. Wasps everywhere. I counted, within an hour, 5 dead wasps. 5 dead wasps in my bath. Bathroom window was shut, bathroom door was shut, so they're getting in through a vent or something. And I thought, hey, maybe there's a nest. There was, in one day, 5 dead wasps in the bath, 2 dead wasps in my daughter's room, 3 dead wasps in my bedroom. There was 3 dead wasps on the living room window. I found 2 of them on the floor in the kitchen. There was 1 on my sofa in the living room. 1 flew in and I had to kill it. Big fucking wasps. And then there was about 4 or 5 on the kitchen window ledge, all in one day. So I went outside and I was checking outside for like maybe a nest or something. I didn't instantly think, oh, this is paranormal. I like to try and explain things away as much as possible. But I do obviously believe in the paranormal because I experience it regularly. So this had happened, and then when I was out, I had went down to Ravenscraig Castle, where we spoke about before, and I've shown you it and stuff. And it was early hours of the morning, and I went down there just to meditate and clear my head. So I was sitting very, like, out on the outcrop bit that looks out into the water and stuff. And I'm sitting there, and there's nobody around, and I decided to just meditate and sort my head out because I had a lot of stuff going on. And the minute I opened my eyes, there's a wasp right in front of me. And then it flew away. Everywhere I was going, there was wasps. Wasps, 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 wasps. And then I decided maybe there's too many wasps, maybe like nature is trying to tell me something. Because I had read in a book once about witches and about how nature tries to send you messages. So I looked up wasps and stuff, and apparently it's to do with like new chapters, and old chapters ending and new ones beginning, and like new roads and stuff, and business and work and things. I can't off the top of my head remember all of it. Look it up if you want to. Wasps as messengers. But it was just wasps, 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 wasps. And then one of the last weird dreams that I had was I was in my house, but it wasn't really my house. It was a different layout, and there was different things there. And there was a lot of people in the house, and my mum was there, my granddad was there, Mikey was there, and the bairn was there. And I was like, right, take the bairn because I need to go and pack the stuff. There's always this sense of impending doom. There was something going on outside. It sounded like there was bombs dropping, and somebody said something about the soldiers are coming. So I ran through my bedroom, and I'm trying to just grab clothes and ram them into this bag so that we've got things. And I'm grabbing things for Erin, and Mikey's grabbing things. But the whole room is filled and completely filled. Swarms and swarms and swarms of wasps everywhere. And then I go to get something from underneath my ottoman, which is weird because my ottoman is flat to the ground, but in the dream it was risen, it had legs. And I went to grab something from underneath there, and as I pulled it out, it was an old pizza box that had been stuffed underneath without the lid, and it was covered in maggots and flies, and it was just disgusting. And we're trying to pack things, and there's wasps and wasps, and people are shouting, the soldiers are coming, the soldiers are coming. And then these, like, what I imagine to be bombs dropping outside everywhere. So, wasps. What the fuck is up with that? So yeah, this has been a really, really long video, and that's all I had written down for it. But I have a lot more spooky stories, and I have a lot more spooky encounters, and I have a lot more weird and fucked up dreams that I can share with you if you want to hear them. So thank you for your time, boys and girls, and I'll be back again because I actually have an opportunity to sit and do this. So there will be more videos soon. Bye bye.